If you're here, you've probably already noticed that the world is changing at an alarming speed. Wars, pandemics, economic crises, and a rapid acceleration of technology that makes us question where all of this is heading. But what if I told you that all of this was foretold thousands of years ago? Yes, the scriptures had already pointed to these days coming, and now we see the pieces falling into place right before our eyes. The Bible is a living book, and its prophecies serve as a map for the events of the end times. From the rise of a charismatic world leader to clear signs of the tribulation, every detail seems to be unfolding with astonishing accuracy. But are you prepared for what's coming? What do these events mean, and how should we position ourselves? In this video, we will explore 5 biblical prophecies that are unfolding right now, analyzing their connections to current events and what they mean for those who await the second coming of Christ. Prepare to have your perspective on the world transformed, because after this content, you will never look at the news the same way again. Stay until the end, because the last prophecy is something few are noticing, but it could completely change your perspective on the future. Let's uncover the signs of the times together and understand what is really happening behind the curtains of history. The rapture is one of the most anticipated and debated events in biblical eschatology. Imagine an ordinary day where people go about their routines as usual, when suddenly, in the blink of an eye, millions disappear. This will be the great separation between those who belong to Christ and those who will remain on earth to face the tribulation. But contrary to what some may think, this event will not be secret or discreet. It will be a celestial spectacle, visible and impactful, leaving the entire world in shock and confusion. Jesus described this moment in Matthew 24:31, mentioning that the chosen ones would be gathered at the sound of a great trumpet. This means that the rapture will not be just an internal spiritual experience, but a global phenomenon. Imagine the newspaper headlines and the desperate reports of people searching for answers. In that instant, many will realize too late that biblical prophecies had always been correct. This is a call to be prepared, for no one knows the day or the hour. But who will be raptured? The Bible teaches that those who bear the seal of God and live according to His will shall be taken up to meet Christ in the air. This raises a crucial question: are we truly ready? Many live as if the end times are a distant or symbolic concept, but the evidence suggests that this day may be closer than we think. The rapture is not just a theological concept, it is a future event with eternal implications. And what about those who are left behind? They will face a period of great tribulation, where the Antichrist will take control and establish a one-world government. The mark of the beast will be enforced, and those who refuse it will suffer severe persecution. The 144,000 sealed by God will rise to proclaim the truth, but the world will be plunged into chaos. This scenario may seem far off, but advancements in technology and economic control are already giving us glimpses of this reality. So what should we do? The answer is clear: be vigilant and remain in communion with God. The rapture is not a science fiction tale, but a real promise. If everything prophesied so far has been fulfilled, why would this event be any different? Now is the time to seek the truth, strengthen our faith, and prepare, for time is running out. And this brings us to the next point: who will be this figure that will rule the world in the final days? Throughout history, charismatic leaders have emerged, promising peace and progress, only to reveal their true intentions at the right moment. But none will compare to the Antichrist, the figure who will dominate the world in the last days. He will not arrive as an openly evil tyrant; on the contrary, he will be seen as a savior, someone capable of resolving global crises and uniting nations. His rise will be marked by promises of peace and stability, but behind this benevolent facade lies a diabolical plan. The scriptures warn us that this leader will establish a global government and be worshipped as a deity. Revelation 13 states that he will rule for 42 months, 5 years, and wield absolute power, deceiving many with signs and wonders. This will be a time of unprecedented deception, where the truth will be distorted and those who refuse to follow him will be persecuted. He will work alongside the false prophet, who will promote his image and demand worship. This system will culminate in the enforcement of the mark of the beast 666, a mandatory sign for all who wish to buy and sell. But how will we recognize the Antichrist? The Bible gives us clear clues. He will emerge in a time of global chaos and offer seemingly miraculous solutions. His influence will spread rapidly and be embraced by much of humanity. However, his true identity will be revealed when he desecrates the temple in Jerusalem and proclaims himself as God. This act, known as the Abomination of Desolation, will mark his ultimate turn against those who follow Christ. Many will realize the truth at this moment, but for some, it will be too late. Looking at current events, we can see signs that the path for this figure is already being paved. Global crises, the push for a unified government, and technological advancements that allow total control over the economy and digital identities are just some of the puzzle pieces falling into place. Given this, the question is inevitable: are we truly prepared to discern the times? Because as the Antichrist's rule grows, we are rapidly approaching the final climax, the great battle that will decide the fate of the world. From the beginning of time, nations have waged wars for power, territories, and ideologies. But none of these battles will compare to the ultimate conflict, the Battle of Armageddon. This event will be the climax of the tribulation, when the forces of the Antichrist will face the wrath of God himself. Unlike any war recorded in history, this will be both a spiritual and physical battle, where the fate of the world will be sealed. The armies of the nations will gather in the Valley of Armageddon in Israel, unaware that they are marching toward their own destruction. The Bible describes this event in Revelation 16:16, showing that the kings of the earth will be deceived by the Antichrist and the false prophet, assembling for war against the Lamb. What they do not expect is that the second coming of Christ will be the turning point. While world powers prepare for a geopolitical confrontation, the heavens will open, and Jesus will return with power and glory, accompanied by the heavenly armies. This will be God's response to the chaos created by the Antichrist and his followers. The outcome of the battle is described with striking detail. The Antichrist and the false prophet will be captured and thrown alive into the lake of fire, a fate reserved for God's enemies. The armies opposing Christ will be instantly defeated. Imagine the shock of those who believe they had control over the world. All deception and arrogance will collapse before the manifestation of the true King. This will be the moment when justice is finally restored. Now that we have reached the end of this journey through biblical prophecies, the question remains: are we prepared for this future? The Bible gives us the signs and the path to follow, but the final decision is in our hands. Time is running out, and the events around us show that we are closer than ever to the fulfillment of these promises. What will you do with this knowledge? And how can we ensure that more people are ready for this moment? The answer lies in our hands. The time to act is now,